Good evening. Will you all please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Is statements from the public. Basically, you have 4 minutes to speak on topics under consideration of the board. Keep things general and civil, and we'll let you know if you ask a question in the midst of your speech and we give a long-winded answer, the clock will stop while we answer and then restart when you speak. We'll let you know when you're out of time. Our first speaker appears to be Lorraine, it looks like Cantori.
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
My name's Lorraine Cantori. I've been a Hartsdale resident and taxpayer for 26 years. My eldest son did attend Lee F. Jackson when he was younger. I'm up here because I'm very concerned. I'm going to do things in reverse. This is my main concern. I'm going to date and reference New York Times article, October 23rd, 2005, titled, "Towns Find Field Building is Dirty Work." Eastchester, Valhalla, and Greenburgh received free fill for fields, which included our football field, a magnificent space that was untainted until the free fill was put in, and it turns out that this no-cost field cost the taxpayers $400,000, if not more. The free fill contained elevated levels of metals, pesticides, and polycyclic chemicals found in crude oil and roofing tar. How many people knew about that? My question is it all gone? Will the field be ripped up, and underneath the field will we find even more contaminants? Okay, so that field cost the taxpayers quite a bit of money.
2005.
I just want to move on with questions. I just wanted to raise that issue, and hopefully people will read that article dated October 23rd, 2005. How many newsletters with regards to the proposed $114 million project were mailed to the voters or taxpayers?
Okay, so let me do Feel for Fields, or at least as much as I remember about Feel for Fields as possible.
Go ahead.
I came on the board after that had occurred and while we were in the cleanup phase. So to the best of my knowledge, what ended up happening is Dirt Man gave us two piles of dirt. I'll call it the clean dirt and the dirty dirt. Mm-hmm. And the clean dirt is in the soccer field today. There were no contaminants in that. The dirty dirt is in the place of the football field parking lot. And the contaminant was ground asphalt, the same stuff that's in any piece of pavement, and we buried it under 5 or 6 feet of fill, of additional dirt that was clean. So it's sitting there, and cars park on top of it once in a while, and that's kind of where it is. I don't anticipate anything terrible happening as a result of our putting more parking lot on top of it. What's probably going to happen is it'll get paved over. So I'm not anticipating any problems. We did take soil samples as part of our secret process. That's as much as I know at this point.
Will there be environmental tests taking place if this proposal does go through?
There have been tests already. There will be continuing tests when we go and actually break ground. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay. So my question is, how many newsletters with regards to the proposed $114 million project were mailed out to the voters or taxpayers?
So good evening, Ms. Cantori. Thus far, we have sent out a fact sheet simply because the board actually made the decision about the $114.6 million bond about 2 weeks ago.
Right.
Our media relations organization is currently putting together the newsletter that will be distributed to all residents in January.
Right. Okay. As far as the vote in February, how many newsletters or reminders will be sent out to all the residents?
As many as possible. And it will be done through different modes, be it social media, be it phone blasts, be it flyers, be it leaflets that actually go home with the students. There'll be mailings, and so there will be ample information about the bond, the vote, and reminders as we get closer and closer.
Okay. So another thing, when was there a traffic study along West Hartsdale Avenue for this proposal? Because we have Maria Regina, we have Solomon Schechter, and there's constant congestion on West Hartsdale Avenue. So do we have an exact date as to when the traffic studies were done?
The traffic studies were conducted as part of the secret process, so that's going to be the summer of this year and into the fall of this year, and we just finally signed off on the secret process at the last meeting.
Okay.
So there were a couple of different phases to that. There was what was in the initially environmental impact statement, in which we looked at possibly like directing traffic temporarily on West Hartsdale Avenue, and we had people coming back and telling us that things would not work. We couldn't get a signal there, or at least they tried to do it before. This time the state came back and said, we'd rather have a signal than somebody directing traffic, so they gave us a pro-signal letter. Then we had people from Poets Corner saying, well, what about Keats Avenue? It's right next to Pat Capone. And the solution to that is to consider both Pat Capone and Keats Avenue as parts of one intersection and come up with a solution for that. Do not block the box might not be a good enough solution for Keats. It might be that they'll end up with a traffic signal there. We'll go ahead with that. We've completed some traffic warrants enough to justify a signal. We may go further than that. The other side of the study is on the Juniper Hill Road side. Mm-hmm. There are sight distance problems with the curvature of Juniper Hill Road. That's been a problem for eons. So the town is responsible for taking care of that. Mm-hmm. The second problem is sidewalks. And the town so far has said they're going to put sidewalks on one side of Fair Street up to the point where the Seventh-day Adventist Church is. And from there, we need to determine where the sidewalks will go for things to be as safe as possible. The town is hiring a consultant. As part of our final secret statement, we said we will have a liaison to work with the town on making sure that the pedestrian traffic is safe on the way up. So that's in process. We did pass a resolution to add a little bit more time onto Tim Miller Associates so they can initially be that liaison. That's where we're at.
Okay. There have been improvements to the area of West Hartsdale Avenue going to Knollwood Road and Dobbs Ferry Road, but for many years there's been talk of a right turn lane put in, and no one's put it in, and the right turn lane would have been helpful. Also, which school district is this, proposal modeled after, where everybody's on this one campus and all these grades are in one building? Is there a school that it was modeled after?
There's not one school. There's a whole series of studies on transitions and grade level configurations, and that it's better to have several grades in one school than to have a large school with very few grades. You want to minimize the number of transitions. There are 4 or 5 studies we can hand you if you need us to send you that.
I would really like to see that. Also, where are the test studies of improved attendance and improved behavior? Isn't that a foundation that begins at home, where a parent ensures that a child gets to school? And behavior, obviously teachers discipline, but also it begins at home. Which school or school districts have the test studies done in that on the statement here, higher attendance rates and improved student behavior? Is that a fact or is that an estimate?
There's a study of New York City middle school students. That's one of the major studies that we looked at on that topic. And basically, they said that you could, using building condition surveys, actually with a 70% accuracy, predict where students would fall within the range of standardized test scores on reading and math, and they filtered into that satisfaction surveys from the students and their test scores and their attendance, and everything kind of seemed to go lockstep together. That's one of the studies we can provide it for you.
I'd like to see it because I've been in education 31 years. I taught middle school for 10 years. I've taught schools where the behavior and the attendance was a challenge. I want to see this miraculous report. I really would like to see it because I feel as though these statements are put here and it should be backed up with the second sheet with the report instead of one beautiful flyer. I feel it's only fair to, and I think every single person that's going to receive your newsletter should have all this in it. It's a lot of information. Okay, I'm someone who voted yes on the library budget. I just wanted to say that. Okay, and I voted yes on the Greenburgh budget. More facts would be very helpful. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead,
Ms. Cantori, I have my copy of the traffic study. If you'd like to take it,
I won't leave with it. Can I just look at it?
Sure, please.
I apologize. I ran out of the house so fast. I have 2 different shoes on. Are you kidding me? Thank you.
That happens. All right, our next speaker is Mary Spells.
Good evening.
Good evening.
At one of the board members' meetings, I spoke on behalf of the Woodlands Middle High School after-school program, and there were some questions as to the schedule. And I'm here tonight to confirm once again that I never come to the podium unless I have all my ducks in a row. I had spoken to Mr. Smith, and he had assured me that the after-school program for middle high school students are on Monday through Friday from 2:45 until 3:10. And I want to appeal to our parents again. This is an opportunity for our students to go to the after-school sessions because the teachers are there at their stations waiting for our students. Soon, after January the 1st, things are going to move so quickly. We don't want our children to get behind. So I appeal to our parents today. It's not mandatory, but it should be mandatory from our parents for our students to get there. And boys and girls, I want to thank you for listening because I see some other students who are attending the sessions after school. So you did hear my appeal, and I want you to continue to attend those sessions. It is for your benefit. Thank you so much, and Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, and a Happy Hanukkah to everyone. Have a safe and pleasant holiday.
Thank you. And our last speaker appears to be Pastor Morris. Yes.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Just coming just to follow through with the update of Lobby Guard, the data that you were going to be working on. Is it available?
Okay.
Good evening, Pastor Morris.
Good morning.
Actually,
Good evening.
Good evening. It's all good. What I can do is I can actually email that data to you because you've asked for it. We shared it with the board, but I'm more than happy to share that data with you. I have your email address, so we'll send that to you.
Okay, I thank you for that. Also, my next question is in reference to the first it was $181,000 for the budget million. I'm sorry, 181 million for the bond, and I know you have it down to 114 million now. There's a lot of things that you took out in order to get to the 114. Now, that's the bond that you're presenting. My question is, when you start building, are you going to insert some of the things that you took out in order to accommodate everything that you needed so that we don't have another bond, we don't have more taxes coming towards us?
All right. What I expect to happen is that we will use our regular budget to take care of things. What I expect to happen is that when we get done with this one bond, there will be 2 schools that will be sold, Highview and Bailey. We know that their assessed value together is about $20 million. We hope we get some amount close to that, and I expect that the lion's share of that will go to improvements of the parts of the school district that have been de-scoped. The parts that were de-scoped in the first place, we did start with $190 million, and we made our way down to $166. And in order to do that, we had to de-scope the administration building. Then to get down to the point that we're at now, we had to de-scope Woodlands. Okay, so that means there are things that definitely need to be fixed, and I expect to use that money from the sale of those two schools, which won't be vacated until the new school is built, to take care of as much of the problems as we have. I might also add that because we found that the cheapest way to build a new school is to put it over the top of the site of the current football field, that means we have to build another football field next to it before we do anything else. So Woodlands is getting basically a new football field in the process. Also, because the other school goes up to the 8th grade, Woodlands will end up with extra space because the 7th and 8th graders who now occupy one floor of Woodlands will no longer be there. So we'll have space to work with, and we'll have some money to work with. That's where we're at.
Okay. You just gave me something else. I just heard that the grounding of the football field is not up to par. It has some issues in reference to toxicity.
It has ground asphalt under it.
Okay, so therefore, if you're going to build a school on that ground, I really think then that the grounds have to be looked into, because that means our students will be on those grounds daily. The teachers will be daily, and therefore how environmental issues do intoxicate the body with diseases. So we do want you to make sure you look at that.
Agreed.
Okay, that's very, very, very important, because that's where many diseases, they'll link it right to the environment. So I think that's important. It was one more thing, but I don't remember it at this point. But be blessed and happy holidays to everybody.
Thank you.
Pastor Morris, I just want to clarify something, because I think people are getting the wrong impression. With regard to the football field, we did environmental tests on that. We did a very extensive. That's why I think it was Ms. Cantori who brought it up. The alleged free football field was not free, because once we found out about it, and I think myself and Lloyd were on the board at the time. Once we found out about it, we took the steps to make sure that it was not toxic, and we hired an engineering firm, and I think I still have my report, so I can either drop it by your house if you like, or we'll have Ivy dig it up. But we took every step to make sure that there are no risks there. And if I remember correctly, ground asphalt is not a toxic substance. It's what is in the asphalt, and the engineering tests showed that there was nothing to be of concern here. So what was supposed to have been a free project absolutely was not free. And by the way, myself and Lloyd did not vote for that. So just to let you know, we were not accepting a free project, number one. But number two, when we found that we had the issue, we all the people who were on the board at the time did not hesitate. We did not delay. We did not kick the can down the road. We immediately said, let's get the test done, and it came back fortunately clean. So that is indeed the case. So you are right, there was that story. And some of the other school districts, they did do tests that show that there were toxins there. Ours came back clean. So I remember that story, but I also remember that ours came back clean, and then, as David said, it is buried, far beneath anyway, because it's a foundation basically for the field. So that's how it works.
I know what my other question was. It was in reference to taxes for the town, which you cannot answer at this time. But with all the reconstruction of the traffic flow, there has to be a raise also in taxes, I'm sure, for the taxpayers. So as we're considering the $114 million bond, as residents, we're also looking at increased taxes, I'm sure, from the town, because whatever they do, there's another increase. So that's just for the public to be aware of. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pastor Morris, while you're there, Mr. Warner also answered a question that you have with regard to what do we take out of the bond in order to get to the $114.6 million. And I just want to be clear with the community, because Mr. Warner, while he was very clear, but I want to underscore something that he said. We are addressing the needs and the facility needs of our high school. Because we did take the high school portion out of the bond, what we did not take out was the football field, the track field, the bleachers, which is part of the high school community. In addition, I want to be very, very clear. We are prioritizing the needs of the high school through our budget. We're not waiting until we sell the 2 buildings. That's just too long. The high school cannot afford to wait. There are pressing needs at the high school that must be addressed ASAP. And currently, I am working very closely with our Assistant Superintendent for Business, Ms. Mary O'Neill, in beginning, as well as Matthew Smith, the principal, in beginning to prioritize what those needs are for the high school. We are currently looking at an energy performance contract, which will again address the efficiencies of the building. As many of you know, you can be in the high school in one classroom, and you might need a Canadian Goose down coat, and you're in another classroom wearing a bikini and flip-flops. That's just not conducive for learning, and those of you who know that. And so we're in the process of taking a look at energy performance, and we're doing that now. We're not waiting. We're doing it now because there are needs, and our children cannot afford to wait. So I just want to make sure that we're clear that we're starting that right now with the high school, because we know we had to take it out, but we want to address it immediately. Thank you.
Wait, we have more. Yes, Terry.
So, and again, and I don't want to go too far afield here. Pastor, you mentioned, you said basically the installation of a traffic light will increase our taxes. And of course, there's a cost there, but obviously assigning a dollar value to safety is something we never want to do. But, and I actually I'm not even really concerned about that cost, because again, if it means saving lives, that's good. But you brought up an issue about taxes. The town of Greenburgh controls the tax base, and the reason why I just wanted to address this now is this, and I'm glad to see so many faces out here today. Another meeting you need to attend are our town board meetings and maybe our planning board meetings, because there are a number of plans for new projects there that are moving slowly. And those new projects, when they get approved, increase the tax base and reduces the overall or the net cost of our project to the district. So I would encourage you all, as well as you, Pastor Morris, to make sure you attend those meetings and put pressure on our town board members to of course, do the proper due diligence on those projects, but to get them approved and on the tax rolls, because that is what generates the revenue that will help pay for this project.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda, presentations and reports. And now for the main event, a presentation for Highview Elementary School. Mr. Mastrangelo.
No, I'm not throwing it.
Thank you. All right. Thank you very much. Board of Education, thank you for coming to Highview School. I hope the chairs weren't too uncomfortable in the art room. Those were just ordered, and the kids loved them. And I guess that's what counts, because that's what it's all about. This evening, we are going to be talking about a handful of relevant topics that are going on not only in the district, but at Highview School. There we go. We have the presenting teachers. I'm just going to introduce them quickly, and then they're going to take over their pieces. We have second grade teacher Laura Martin, who, as you can see, will be talking about TWR. What is TWR? It's the writing revolution. Stacy Cristello is our second grade AIS reading teacher, and she's going to be talking about aligning the curriculum and our reading AIS program. Sharon Davenport is wearing a couple of hats tonight. She is our math AIS teacher, so she will be talking about that program, and she is currently in the advanced learning program, otherwise known as ALP, and she is assuming that role right now, and she's going to talk a little bit about the ALP program. And sort of segueing into that, Mike McHale, our third grade reading teacher, our AIS teacher, also doubles as one of the tech gurus in the building. And he is all things technology, and he'll be talking about the Innovation Lab, which we had our grand reopening earlier this year. We have 2 videos at the end of our presentation that are very, very short. Each one is about 45 minutes. So if you can sit through those, they're about 30 seconds. I was only kidding. They're about 30 seconds, but we finish off our presentation with those videos, and I think you'll enjoy them. So Laura Martin is going to talk about the writing revolution.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Laura Martin. I'm a second grade teacher here at Highview Elementary School. So I'm just going to outline a few of the components for the writing revolution for second grade. If you look underneath the second grade activities, some of the goals by the end of the year are for our students to be able to convert fragments to sentences, unscramble sentences, use sentence expansion using question words, develop all sentence types using transition words because, but, and so, sentence combining, and then brainstorming given a topic and creating an SPO. So I'm going to talk a little bit specifically about an SPO and show you an example of something that our second grade students do. So this is an SPO. We have a lot of acronyms in this program, but it's really fun because the kids get very involved with trying to remember what the acronyms are. An SPO stands for a single paragraph outline. So a paragraph by definition is a group of sentences that contain details that are aimed to specifically talk about one topic. So an SPO aims to do just that. We give our students a topic sentence, as you can see at the top with our TS, and a conclusion sentence, and the students are asked to fill in details. I know this is a little bit hard to see, but on the side we also give the students clue words. In second grade, they are not asked to fill this out completely. What is really awesome about this program is that it expands all through the grades, so students will continue to see this same type of outline as they move up through the grades, but you may see a little bit of the supports taken away. So you won't see cues next to them. They won't have their topic sentence given. Students will have to come up with these types of things. Specifically here, we talked about clouds. So the students were given their topic and closing sentence, and they were filling in the 3 different types of clouds. You can see the finished product over here. An SPO is basically used to help the students transition smoothly from their brainstorming to a paragraph. As opposed to other graphic organizers, we found that this is a very smooth transition into the actual paragraph form. You can do one more. This is a little difficult to see, but this is a picture of how you see the students. They fill out their SPO. They also know that on filling in the details on the dotted lines, they are not required to write complete sentences at this point. They just kind of brainstorm their ideas, and then you can see on the right they transform their details and their little ideas into complete sentences. So, as I said, the program is really great because as a grade, we are able to implement all these different methods, and these are things that they are going to see as they move up the grades throughout their school.
Okay, hello all. My name is Stacy Cristello. I'm the second grade reading teacher, as Mr. Mastrangelo said. For the past 2 years, with a big shout out to Lori DeAndrea, our literacy coordinator, we've been able to change the structure of our AIS program and align it to what the teachers are doing in the classroom in the general education setting. So, for example,
you can see here that we start with foundations in Tier 1. That's the classroom instruction that is used in every classroom. We've talked about foundations before, so we won't beat it up here. But you can see in Tier 2 and Tier 3, we've implemented other instructional plans like Foundations Intervention, which was introduced like across the entire school last year, and then we were training last year for Wilson Reading, which you can see in Tier 3. Both of those are small group word study programs, and that's kind of how we have aligned everything to Foundations. That's all through the Wilson Reading program. So all of it's aligned, similar language, similar strategies. We've done the same thing with our ELA program and our balanced literacy block.
For those of you who can see, balanced literacy is high-quality classroom-based literacy instruction where learning deepens when students think, talk, read, and write about authentic texts across many different instructional contexts. This can happen in the classroom, in whole group, small group, and individual settings. What we're doing now in Tier 2 and Tier 3 is we've been trained in leveled literacy intervention, which is a supplementary program with intensive small group reading instruction to help our struggling readers get to the level they need to be for each grade. It could be done in small group for Tier 2 as well as Tier 3 or in a one-on-one setting. What's nice about aligning our curriculums is it also aligns with RTI, MTSS, multiple tier system of supports that we're moving forward with in our district as well.
Quick question before you move forward. What is what's sort of the size of the evaluation loop? So I assume that you're at different tiers because you need different levels of intervention, and so you identify a need, you fulfill you assign a level of intervention, you fulfill that need, and then you test again. So how is it, like 6 weeks or 2 months, or how often do you? How big is the loop?
Let me start by saying that's a fantastic question. So what we're talking about here is our RTI process, which we're slowly transforming into MTSS, which is the multi-tier system of support. Essentially, if we look at Tier 1, that's regular classroom instruction. There's nothing different there that every student wouldn't get in the school. If they aren't progressing, though, we would institute some interventions. Usually that would be anywhere from like 12 to 18 weeks, depending. It could be longer than that. If those interventions don't work, we would go to Tier 2, which would be more intensive interventions, which would be like small group work. We would do 1 or 2 intervention periods there. If that's not working, then we would move on to Tier 3, where we would have even more intense interventions, which each of those systems are designed specifically for that. And in LLI, which is our
level
Tier 2 and Tier 3 reading interventions, that actually is flexible enough to function as both the Tier 2 and the Tier 3 because it can have smaller groups as well as skill levels that are, at the student's level.
Thank you.
I'm glad I can follow that. My twins actually learned with Foundations. I had
Wait a minute. I think we have one more question.
Oh,
is it Jeff?
Just a quick question about the tiers. In Tier 2 and Tier 3, are you pulling them out of the classroom?
That's correct.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
But if we're pulling for ELA or for math, we don't pull during the ELA block or the math block. Those 2 blocks are sacred. We don't touch them.
Okay, go ahead.
so my twins went to Jackson, and one was a reader, non-reader, and Foundations got him reading. He actually heard a naughty word one day, and he said to me, I said, what did you, he said, do you want me to tap it out for you? I'm like, no, don't tap out bad words, that's okay. So I'll start with my first hat. I am the AIS math teacher from the beginning of the year. You can see I have this, go back, you went too far. I moved into a new home. I had a brand new room, able to decorate it. I meet with small groups, about 6 children, max 7 sometimes, or 3 for one group. Pretty much working on their weaknesses, the things that they're really struggling with. Talking to their teachers if they're really having something not getting through to them while they're in their group and with their regular teacher. I work on that. We're also trying to strengthen that number sense. That's where we find that most of the children that are struggling, it's that basic concept that they didn't understand. And ST Math, which is a new program that we're doing, it's a really great computer-based program. If you can go to the next one, because it's in both. I'm using it in AIS and in ALP. That's Gigi right in the corner. He is an adorable little penguin, and they have activities to solve, but there's no words. So everything is with just pictures. So even the child that is a struggling reader can work on this program and be very successful. And then after they work with pictures, then it starts to put the plus and the minus in and all of that. So working with the AIS children, just reviewing everything and getting those basic skills strong. And now my ALP hat, so my advanced learning program where I'm working now in 3rd and 2nd grade, they're doing ST Math also, but we're doing a lot more problem-based learning, so lots of fun activities, and just going through the curriculum a little bit faster because they're actually able to pick up on the concepts. I taught math to the whole 3rd grade last year, and the ALP children, most of them are able to get through that curriculum much faster than I have seen in the past. So we head to the innovation room with Mr. McHale, do some fun activities in there, lots of STEAM. And it's just a great program that's working out beautiful in the school right now.
Good.
Any questions? Because now we're going to innovation room.
Okay, keep going.
So I wear a couple of different hats, as Mr. M pointed out. I'm running the after-school program in the Innovation Lab. And essentially what we're going to be doing there is creating makers. Those are kids who are capable of not only finding problems, but finding them and solving them for themselves. Currently we're working on going through the maker process, is essentially the scientific method. In this class, we will be working on 3D printing, engineering, dash and dot coding, and we have different kind of physics tracks. We got a lot of cool stuff in there. You can see in the bottom right there, we got Perry the Falcon. I have him, designed him on the 3D printing software. So once we get our 3D printer up and running this year, we can print out Perry as well as a whole bunch of other things. Our students will also be designing and 3D printing things, which I'm super excited about. And that's our innovation lab.
Tell us a little bit about the design process on 3D printing.
Okay, so there's a program I use called Tinkercad. It's a free online program. And essentially, you can actually see a little bit of it here. Down here, you can see like little blocks and cubes and stuff. You can make different designs and shapes by manipulating those blocks. It's relatively simple, though you could make it more complex. You can also import images which automatically change into the 3D rendered image that you see here or whatever image you have. It has text, fonts, free draw. There's a whole bunch of cool stuff on there. The printing takes a little effort, but last year I trained myself in the 3D printer, so now I feel confident that when the kids design something, I can help them to actually print it out on our school printer.
Good. Other questions? Go ahead.
So we have a couple of videos. One is just showing one particular activity in the Innovation Lab. Mr. McHale was running this activity where the bottom line is the kids are learning to fail, because that's what science is. Every science experiment, there's a failure, and how do we improve upon it? So in the first video, what the kids had to do was they had to build some sort of a bridge out of materials that were given. They had 5 opportunities to succeed 3 times. So if they succeeded 60% of the time, they got it, and then they were able to move on. The second video is just sort of a scan of the Innovation Lab to just see all of the different activities that can take place. So here's the first one. Okay. So, all right. Come on. No? Okay, so the first video, like I said, the kids succeeded. They have to roll this ping pong ball down this ramp that they created with popsicle sticks. They have to do it at 3 out of 5 times. So you can see, if you just want to go to that picture again, if it's not going to work, that's okay. That old adage, technology is great when it works. So they created this little ramp, and they rolled. And this is the second video. That's the first one. So they rolled a ping pong ball down this person-made ramp. These 3 students built this ramp. And if the ping pong ball rolls into the cup 3 times out of 5 rolls, they've succeeded. Then what they have to do is they have to slide this thing. It's a cup on a little piece of cardboard. They have to actually slide this backwards You can see the meter stick. They then have to slide it backwards and continue to build and do the experiment again. How far can we bring this cup out away from the base, and how far can the kids make it succeed? So spoiler alert, they did this 3 times in a row and it went in the cup. So they're ready to now move this a little bit further. In the second video, which this is sort of the introduction of that bridge. You can see the students trying to tape the popsicle sticks onto the base, and they're just getting ready to do that. And then as the video rolls, there's just a scan around the room that I don't want to do, but it goes all the way around the room. One area is the dot and dash robot with coding. Another area is another bridge. Another area was the 3D printer and coding as well. We also have some things. Show of hands, escape the room, where people can go into a room and read clues and try to escape. We actually have activities where they have to get into a certain area by removing locks, whether they be combination locks. Through reading the clues, they can now get into, open this lock. Now they get to pull another card and go into another activity. So there are so many really, really exciting things in the Innovation Lab. Like I said, we had a grand opening earlier this year. It was right around Halloween. And since then, the classes are just going in, and the kids are loving this room. So maybe at another time, if you're ever in the building and you want to come visit, we will have more tour guides to bring you through and show you what's going on. And that is it. And as I wanted to finish here also, from our Highview family to yours, we want to wish all of you Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Hanukkah, whatever you celebrate. And if you don't celebrate, just enjoy the time with your family and friends. And to be quirky, we'll see you next year. So thank you very much.
Thank you. So that was good. We got a chance to look at a window into the reading and writing piece, and we got into the technology piece as well. I feel like I know a little bit more about Highview than I did. Anyone else have any comments or questions? All good. Thank you. All right. Next item on our agenda is the superintendent's report. Dr. Chase.
Good evening, community.
Good evening.
The Greenburgh Central School District, as many of you know, is proposing a $114.6 million capital project to go before voters on February 12th. This initiative will create a unified campus for all students from pre-K through grade 12. The proposal was developed with the guidance of community members, staff and faculty here at the Greenburgh Central School District, the school board, as a whole. The consolidation efforts will condense 5 buildings into 3 onto our Warburg campus. Many of you have heard various iterations of the consolidation bond. The board voted unanimously 2 weeks ago to present the $114.6 million bond before our voters on February 12th. We will be visiting various community groups to speak about the bond, to allow community members to ask any questions that they may have for clarification purposes. I am going to share that there is misinformation, and we want to be able to give you the proper information so that you are informed voters. So I thank those who participated thus far and who will continue to participate as we build a brighter future for Greenburgh Central School District. I'm also going to encourage you to please subscribe to our social media. By subscribing to our social media, you will get real-time information as it is presented. In addition, it also allows you to ask questions and also get responses in a timely manner. We also ask that you visit our website to continue to receive updated information. We will be, as we share with Ms. Cantori, sending out a newsletter in the next couple of weeks to share with the community, and it's going to be quite robust. It's several pages that will give you all the soups to nuts and information. But I don't want you to just rely on print material. Please know that you can ask questions, and as Mr. Warner knows, because he has been copied on quite a few emails, we've been getting emails from the community left and right. and we will respond to your emails to the best of our ability. There have been community members who have just basically asked, well, can I sit down and chat with you? And I do welcome that. So please sit down and chat with any one of us. And please ask me questions as you see fit. We want to make sure that you are well informed as community members, as taxpayers, and as residents, and those who are very much so interested in improving our community as a whole by improving our schools. So I'm going to be very brief tonight. There's a lot going on, and plus there's a very weird feedback that I'm getting in this microphone because I don't have a soft cover like everybody else. But there is yes. If I breathe, people can hear me. But I'm going to be very brief, and I want to share with the community. On behalf of the Greenburgh Central School District family, that's my family. We may not be blood, but we're family. I've been with these people for 6 years. They have become family. I spend more time with many of these people here than I spend with my own family, waking hours. So I think that I've earned the right to say, on behalf of my Greenburgh Central School District family, I wish you and your family a peaceful, joyous holiday season, and whatever holiday that might be. And as Mr. Mastrangelo indicated, even if you don't celebrate this time of year, it is a time of year for reflection. It is a time of year to be thankful for all the great things that we have. And so I wish you all the best. I wish you good health. I wish you prosperity. And I wish you all good fortune. Have a great night, and may the spoils of the season enrich your lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Chase.
You know this is wrong, Stephen. I've been hearing feedback all evening.
All right. Mary would not be with us tonight, so we'll move on to committee reports. Do we have any board committee reports?
I apologize.
Yes.
I'm so sorry.
Go ahead.
I get to use my little spongy thing now. I apologize. I want to thank the Highview Elementary School for a great presentation. I didn't get to say that. I apologize. Mr. Mastrangelo, just impressed. And you guys have embraced the new initiatives of our school district. You've embraced our new programs, and they are working for our children. You got to believe in the work that we're doing for our children. I cannot express that more. We are one of the few school districts that have the initiatives that we have, the uniformity that we have in initiatives. K-12 Mandarin program, STEAM. There's something else exciting coming down the pike, and I just don't want to express it yet, but we just have so many wonderful things in our school district. And so what you saw tonight at Highview actually happens. And I challenge each and every one of you who are sitting here and those of you who are watching this live and who will be watching this later on during the break. Come into Highview School, and I promise you what you saw tonight you will see in those classrooms. So I thank you, Mr. Mastrangelo, and I thank your staff, although they left. I see Ms. Verily is still here, and Ms. Mona, who is part of the staff, is still here. I thank you all for a job well done. Congratulations. Clap for them. They deserve it.
Committee reports. Do we have any committee reports? I have one from the Community Engagement Committee. The GCSD Community Engagement Committee met at R.J. Bailey on 11/26/18. The meeting convened shortly after 7 p.m. We reviewed the Woodlands Bell schedule revisions, allowing 25 minutes of after-school extra help from all teachers. I think Mary spoke up on that topic. The November 15th blizzard/traffic disaster, heroic efforts on the part of staff and community to help our students get safely home, and how we can better track our buses and communicate with parents in the future. The November 6th R.J. Bailey plumbing emergency and how we completed repairs. Our continuing efforts to secure New York State facilities aid increase. The Warburg Campus Consolidation Project and SECRA process. I'm repeating myself here. We have since completed SECRA, reduced the scope and cost of the project from $166 million down to $114.6 million, and set a bond vote date of February 12th in the Woodlands Gym. Polls are open from 7 a.m. till 9 p.m. Absentee ballots will be available. Contact Ivy Krause, our district clerk, for details. The Edgemont Incorporation Committee appeal, a list of upcoming GCSD events. GCSD happenings, the STEAM Fair and Book Fair at R.J. Bailey, Breast Cancer Awareness Walk, Woodlands trip to Jet Stadium, UN Links, Halloween Parade, Woodlands Middle School Human Rights Institute visit, the IB Communication at ECP, and Tisha Hyman Basketball Scholarship at Syracuse. Community members provided input on the following topics. On 11:30, we had a family night at 6 p.m. at Highview, and the need for additional rehearsals at R.J. Bailey after-school programs for members participating in the winter concert. We also need to post our committee charges for all the committees on our district website. The next Community Engagement Committee meeting is Monday, 1/14/19 at 7 p.m. at Woodlands. That's a location change. It's at Woodlands. All are welcome. Terry.
Thank you, David. I don't have any questions. I'm just going to give the schedule for the Governance and Government Relations Committee meetings for the rest of the year. And Ivy, I will follow up with an email to you if you can't keep up with me. January 27th, 8 to 9 p.m. It's going to be a conference call. February 13th, which is a Wednesday, 8 to 9 p.m., a conference call. March 24th, 8 to 9 p.m., conference call. April 30th from 6 to 7, that will be in the mansion from 6 to 7. May 29th, Wednesday, from 6 to 7, also in the mansion. And June 26th, Wednesday, also in the mansion from 6 to 7 p.m.
Thank you. I assume Governmental Relations and Governance Committee will be held together?
We do them one after the other.
Good. Jeff. Go ahead.
Okay. On Thursday the 13th of December last week, the Technology Committee met at the mansion, and it was chaired by Carlos Ramirez. We discussed the Smart Schools bond and the current status of that. We also talked about, or he relayed to us, the changes to the original regulation, which actually requires us to provide 10% of the funding to the private schools in the area. The other thing is, we spoke about the fact that the board approved Wi-Fi in all buildings, and they wasted no time. So they installed an enterprise HD high-def wireless network, which is going to provide mostly academic access to Wi-Fi. Carlos and his team found out that there was a government grant program called E-Rate, and he was able to use that to provide funding for the Wi-Fi that was supposed to be covered by the Smart Schools bond, but due to regulatory requirements, that's kind of still being held up. So he was able to actually get refunds, I believe, for the commitment that we made to. Fantastic, and that was about $200,000 of reimbursement, which means we probably got our Wi-Fi, enterprise Wi-Fi network on the cheap. Okay, excellent, but it's not a cheap network. All right. The Smart Bond will be spent in classrooms once the funds are released. One of the things we're going to use it for is display boards in classrooms. I was very impressed with the technology team's approach to replacing the smart boards. One of the things that they took into account is the fact that we are going to be building out, hopefully, when the bond passes, these new schools. So the technology solutions that they're putting in place are portable. So the interactive smart board replacements, these are portable things that can be moved into the new facilities when that comes around. He's using a very smart approach. He's working with the principal in the buildings. For instance, in the high school, he worked with Matt Smith to make sure that the classrooms that they're putting these interactive smart boards in are classrooms that can use them. So he's using it for math classrooms. He's using it for world languages, I believe, and science, because those are classes where students will get up and need to work interactively to present their work and so forth. They're working on a third-floor wireless infrastructure, and I don't remember what building that was in. Woodlands, thank you. They've identified 35 locations that need interactive panels. We will be ready in 2020 or 21. 2021. Great, thank you. Security initiatives that his team has taken up is we're using Google as a single sign-on solution so that parents and children who need to go into the technology sites and academic tools that we provide for them will only have to have one log-on, their Google account log-on. So they'll log into that and they can get access to things like learning.com and some of the other tools we're providing. Let's see, what else? He talked about the fact that eSchool Plus provides the student portal that we're currently using. So for those of you who are parents and you have students in the district, you have the ability to go in and see your students' grades, to see comments about their performance and things they're doing within the classrooms, and that's done through the eSchool Plus. Let's see. We've gotten a contract for something called News ELA, which allows us to give timely news access to students in classrooms for their assignments. We're looking into something called School Messenger, and I didn't fully get that, so I'm going to ask Carlos to speak a little bit about that because I think it's very important.
We're looking at evaluating what will be the best vehicle to communicate with the community, and not only the school, but the community at large, with the parents and guardians and staff, and to research to look at what is the data of the region. And this is one of the products that largely used in all the districts.
Here, we need to give you a microphone.
Sorry.
Here, sorry, I'm very sorry. Okay, well, I've been tasked by the superintendent to research, and what we did is we gathered information from other school districts in the region. Actually, the 3 counties, we went to Rockland, Westchester, and Putnam Northern. 37% of the school districts use a School Messenger. So we're going to do a true vetting of that process to replace our K-12 alerts, which is a legacy system that we have for many, many years. It's time to change. And to integrate with all the other applications that we have in the district, like Google Apps for Education and single sign-on.
Thank you very much. And that's all I have, David.
Thank you. Are there any other committee reports? Moving on to instructional personnel items. Do I hear a motion to approve the instructional personnel items presented to the board for approval this evening? So moved. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion carries. Dr. Chase, do you wish to congratulate some new people?
Why, certainly I will. I'd like to first introduce the community to our new out teacher who will be housed here at Highview Elementary School, Miss Erin McGlynn. Please stand so we can see you. And I also would like to introduce the community to our new Director for Pupil Personnel, Ms. Jill Post. Please stand. Congratulations to both. We look forward to great things from each and every one of you. And again, congratulations. Welcome aboard.
Dr. Chase?
Yes, ma'am.
Could you also let the community know what other positions you'll be holding? Because pupil personnel doesn't, a lot of people don't realize what that encompasses.
Good question. So pupil personnel encompasses mainly dealing with student activities. So Ms. Post will have oversight of all things special education. Ms. Post will have oversight of student activities as it relates to code of conduct, as it relates to our homeless population, as it relates to sheltered instruction, as it relates to, again, all things student services. And so we're very pleased to bring along someone with well over 2 decades of experience, but she's a youngin'. So don't be fooled. But with a wealth of experience in various areas of pupil personnel. And so congratulations.
Thank you. All right. Non-instructional personnel items. Do I hear a motion to approve the non-instructional personnel items presented to the board for approval this evening?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Abstentions?
I abstain.
1 abstention. Motion carries. Board action items. Do I hear a motion to approve the board action items presented to the board for approval this evening?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
David, I have discussion on that motion. I'd like to,
All right.
I have an amendment to the minutes to reflect something that was not captured. Well, the minutes of November 13th, item C, board meetings, motion to hold future work sessions and special meetings at the administration building room. I voted against that. It is not reflected in the minutes.
Ivy, could you modify those minutes as appropriately? Good, good.
You just have to, you're just going to, when you vote, it's just amended.
Yes.
So instead of as presented, it's as amended, and then I will make the change to the minutes as Mr. Williams indicated.
Thank you, Terry. Do I hear a motion to approve the board action items as amended for approval this evening?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Finance items. Do I hear a motion to approve the finance items presented to the board for approval this evening?
So moved.
Do I hear a second? Do I hear a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Discussion on the motion? Go ahead. Yes.
I'm not going to take the time tonight, but I'm not very pleased because I don't really understand why we have so many budget code transfers, and I'd like to have a more in-depth conversation about what they entail, because this is confusing to me, because it's telling me that you're going to some plant ops from Woodland High School, non-instructional salary, then you got plant ops, administration, non-instructional salary, then you got $60,000, and you have staff on the I don't understand that, and I don't want to go into it tonight, but I do want to have a discussion on it so that I can understand these things better.
All right. So my sense is that we did attempt to discuss this at the work session. We can go over it further if you'd like. Are you trying to table it, or do you want to go ahead at this point?
As I said, I do not want to table. I do not need a defense. All I need to do is find out so that I can understand it when I read it. That's all. No, I don't want to table it. I will just not vote for it, but I will not.
Okay, that works. That works. All right. The motion has been made and seconded. Any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Abstentions?
Abstain.
One abstention. So we still have
Jeff.
Jeff abstained?
I have a clarifying question.
Go ahead.
The treasurer's report seems to be, although presented in November, seems to be from October. Is that correct?
So the records are never for the current month. They always work a couple of months behind. So if you go back to the previous month, you know, they'll always be a couple of months back. Yes.
Okay, so that was why I abstained. I just wanted to make sure that they were correct.
All right. So you're abstaining?
No more.
No more. All right. So that's a yes. All right. Motion carries. Business items. Do I hear a motion to approve the business items presented to the board for approval this evening? Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. Student services items. Do I hear a motion to approve the student services items presented to the board for approval this evening?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries. All right. We're on to new business. Now, we promised that we would go back into a second closed session. Before we go into that second closed session, is there any new business? All right. Hearing none. Do I hear a motion to adjourn to executive session to discuss employment history of particular persons being considered for board action at this evening or at a future meeting?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We're in closed session. Thank you.